Hi, I'm Vivian. I've always admired my parents. They were my role models. Mom and Dad treated each other with so much tenderness. They took care of each other, and our house was always filled with love. Of course, I wanted to find love like that too. For as long as I could remember, I dreamed of meeting someone truly special. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best luck with boyfriends. Each time someone asked me out, I gave it my all. But all my relationships ended in complete failures. First, there was Dwight. We'd only been dating for a week when I caught him with another girl. Then there was Henry. I found out that he was only dating me because he'd made a horrid bet with his friend. I lost count of how many times I got burned. When I wasn't busy trying to salvage my relationships, I liked to play a popular online game. I always played as an elf archer. My character in the game always beat her enemies so effortlessly and gracefully. She was the reason I decided to join an archery club. The first lesson was amazing. I hit the center of the target at my first try. Can you imagine? Yes! Bullseye! A few days after that, I was on my way to practice again when the elevator doors opened and I saw a cute stranger. You're going down? I nodded shyly and tried to sneak glances at him. But then the lights flickered, the elevator screeched to a stop, and we were stuck inside. I hope you aren't claustrophobic. I hope so too. It was the first time I'd ever been in a situation like that, and my stomach was in knots. The guy struck up a conversation to distract me. I'm Joe. I recently moved into an apartment on the 11th floor. I'm Vivian. Wow, so you live right above me. We kept chatting for a while as we waited for help to arrive. There was clearly a spark between us. As soon as we got out of the elevator, Joe asked if he could treat me to a pizza. I was running late for archery practice, but my heart fluttered when Joe looked at me, so I decided not to miss my chance and changed my plans to go on a date with him. What followed was like something out of a dream. We went on romantic walks in the rain, texted each other all through the night, and eventually we kissed. It was my very first kiss. We became an item. I tried to spend every possible minute with Joe. It wasn't hard because we lived in the same complex. Of course, I stopped playing my favorite computer game and going to archery club as I disappeared into my relationship. I thought my boyfriend was perfect. But 6 months later, Joe grew distant. Are you ready for the picnic? I'm sorry, I can't go today. I have a headache. Since Joe kept canceling on me, I had a lot of free time. So I went back to playing online games in the evening. That's how I met Nick. He lived in a nearby town. At first, we just talked in the in-game chat, but soon we exchanged numbers to keep texting each other whenever we wanted. I didn't know what he looked like, but I felt like we were connected. Nick was always considerate and polite. I liked having a friend that I could tell about everything that was going on in my life. What's up, Vivian? Joe canceled our date. Again. I hoped that we'd spend every minute together, just like my parents. Our relationship was falling apart, but I didn't give up. On the contrary, I wanted to show Joe just how much he meant to me. So I decided to give him a new game console for his birthday. Those were expensive, so I got a job as a pizza delivery courier. It was exhausting work. A few days flew by and I finally had a free evening. My parents were on a vacation together, so I had the house all to myself. I asked Joe if he wanted to come over and watch a movie with me. But sorry, Vivian, I'm supposed to visit my grandma. She's sick. Okay. Instead of wallowing at home, I took an extra shift. Soon, I was delivering pizzas to a party. 2 margaritas and 1 pepperoni. Thanks, let me get the money. While I was waiting for the payment, I looked at the partygoers. Imagine my surprise when I saw my boyfriend letting loose on the dance floor. Is your sick grandmother at this party too? Vivian, don't make a scene. We've been dating for a while now. Sometimes I just don't want to hang out with you. Fine, have fun on your own then. See if I care. That was the turning point for me. I realized that Joe didn't appreciate me or all the things that I did for him. I was gutted, and stewing in my thoughts at home didn't help. So I texted Nick and I told him about everything that had happened. Vivian, I'm coming to your city tomorrow. We can meet and chat in person. This is the best news I've heard all day. We decided not to exchange photos to make our meeting that much more exciting. Of course, we did need to recognize each other somehow, but all we did was tell each other what we'd be wearing. The next day, I came to the train station and started looking for a guy whose outfit matched Nick's description. I was sure my best friend was gonna be a scrawny bookworm, so when I finally saw Nick, I couldn't help but whistle. He turned out to be ripped. Wow, he had black hair and a perfect smile. Hi, it's me, Vivian. Mark me shocked. Your texts were always so polite. I never thought you'd look so tough. Nick seemed confused and a little bit embarrassed. I suggested we walked around the city, but then I saw that he had a heavy suitcase with him. Okie dokie, let's drop this off at my place first. A few minutes later, we were at my apartment. Nick looked around with interest and asked where my parents were. They're skiing. You hungry? I wouldn't say no to some juice. So your parents won't be here for the next few days? Yeah, why? This is awkward, but I have nowhere to stay. Could I spend the night at your place? Had it been anyone else, I would have said no. But it was Nick, my best friend and the politest guy in the world. I trusted him 100%. Okay, dokie, we have a guest bedroom. With those words, I tried to hand him the juice, but accidentally spilled it all over him. While Nick was cleaning up in the bathroom, I opened the closet to get a spare pillow for my guest. And then I noticed something weird. Mom's skis were in the closet, but Dad's were not. However, for some reason, Mom's diving suit wasn't there while Dad's was in its usual place. That was suspicious. I was still lost in thought when someone rang the doorbell. When I opened the door, I saw Joe with a huge bouquet of flowers in his hands. He came to apologize for his behavior the day before. Before I could say anything though, Joe turned red with anger. Who the heck is this? Nick came up to me. He had just come out of the shower in nothing but a towel. Joe looked like he wanted to tear his own hair out. I could have explained everything, but then I got a better idea. You didn't treat me right, so I got myself a new boyfriend who will. How could you, Vivian? Oh, don't make a scene. I smirked at him and slammed the door in his face. Now he knew how I felt when I saw him at the party. What just happened? That was Joe. I told you about him. I asked my friend to play along and act like we were dating. Nick hesitated, but I managed to convince him. I just want Joe to realize what he lost. Okay, maybe one day you'll pay me back for my help. After that, Nick said he was supposed to meet someone at a music bar and asked if I wanted to come along. We left the apartment, and I was over the moon when I noticed that Joe was trying to spy on us. My plan was working. We arrived at a music bar called the Singing Oyster, and to my surprise, Nick ordered a lot of expensive dishes. Psst, hey, I didn't bring any money with me. Don't worry, the food's on me today. After we ate everything, Nick left to chat with some girl with bright makeup. Give me a minute, Vivian. I didn't hear what they were talking about, but judging by how tense they looked, it was not a pleasant conversation. I turned away for just a second, and when I turned back, Nick and his girlfriend were nowhere to be seen. I couldn't help but grow worried as I waited for my friend to come back. Minutes ticked by. Nick didn't return. The owner of the Singing Oyster found my behavior suspicious and demanded that I pay the bill. Here's the thing. Let me guess, you don't have any money? Sir, are you a mind reader? I smiled innocently and asked if I could just go home and get the cash, but he wouldn't let me leave. Our singer didn't turn up for her shift today. Sing a few songs in her place and you're free to go. Just hand me over to the cops. I'm not a singer. But he silently pushed me onto the stage and handed me a microphone. The music started to play and all the guests stared at me. Okay, if I'm gonna embarrass myself, I might as well go all out. I closed my eyes and started to sing. I expected people to throw rotten tomatoes at me, but to my astonishment, everyone liked my voice. I could barely believe it was me singing too. I worked off my debt by singing and got a round of applause. After that, I was finally allowed to leave the Singing Oyster. The fact that Nick had just left me there made my blood boil. I was almost home when I ran into Joe. Where's your jock? Was Joe jealous again? Awesome! My anger instantly vanished and I smiled slyly. He's preparing a romantic surprise for me. Oh, whatever. When I walked into my apartment, I realized that Nick really had prepared a surprise for me. Unfortunately, it wasn't a pleasant one. My friend and the girl from the bar were discussing something. They looked tense. What the heck is going on here? This is an old friend of mine, Harley. Salut, baby! Nick said they'd had to leave from the bar so quickly because his psycho of a friend had stolen all the cash from the register. I'm sorry I left you there, Vivian. Harley shouldn't have done that, but she's my friend and I couldn't let her get into trouble again. Nick told me that Harley was a real daredevil. She already had a rap sheet long enough to wallpaper the room we were in. He asked me to help him return the money to the bar. Jeez, can't we just take the money and have fun? Why are you so boring? Zip it. You've already done enough. I really didn't want to get into trouble because of that psycho, but Nick had always been a good friend to me. He helped me, and I wanted to return the favor. In the end, I agreed to help them get out of their mess. The three of us headed back to the bar with a large bag full of the bills Harley had stolen. We ran into Joe on the way out. He was going down in the elevator too. I started flirting with Nick to annoy my boyfriend, but Joe just shrugged indifferently and turned away. Dang it, I expected a different reaction. By the time we got to the Singing Oyster, the bar was already closed. What's the plan? Harley and I will sneak in and get the money back. You stay here on the lookout. If anyone shows up, distract them. Distract them how? You'll think of something. With those words, Nick and his crazy girlfriend snuck into the bar through the back door. I stayed on the street and looked around nervously. I hope this will all be over soon. All of a sudden, I noticed that the bar owner was coming back. He must have forgotten something. My heart was pounding. If he caught my friend, Nick would be in a world of trouble. Thank Vivian, I had to do something. I couldn't think of anything better to do than try my hand at acting. I pretended I twisted my ankle and I howled in pain. What's wrong? It's my leg. I can't walk. He bought it and drove me to a hospital. It bought some time for Harley and Nick. I was so friggin' proud of myself. It turned out I was a great actress. Who would have thought? At the hospital, I waited for the bar owner to leave and immediately ran away. Wait, what about your leg? Oh, it miraculously healed. I ran straight home. I was almost there when I got a text. It was from Nick. Hi, Vivian. I'm sorry I didn't come to our meeting. I wasn't brave enough. What? My legs gave out. If the real Nick hadn't come, then who was staying in my apartment? Had I let an impostor in? I opened the door and was stunned. The guy pretending to be Nick and Harley were splitting up a mountain of cash. We each get half. Great job! What's going on? You were supposed to return the money. They took one look at me and burst out laughing. I can't believe you bought it. The first time we went to the bar was to take a look around. They went there tonight to steal all the cash, and you helped us. They tricked me. I wasn't gonna let them get away with it. I know you're not Nick. You're an imposter that I mistook for my friend. And what are you gonna do about it, huh? I'll call the police and tell them you robbed the bar. Go ahead, but don't forget that you're our accomplice. You were on the lookout while we were stealing the money. There's definitely footage of it. They were right. If I turned them in, I would get arrested too. I just stood there uncertainly while those thieves trashed my apartment. Oh, we could pawn this too. Okay, it's time to leave. As I listened to them, it became clear that they did this often. Robbed someone and then moved to a new place. Now, they were on their way to the train station to go to a new town. As soon as they left, I tried to figure out how to fix everything. I couldn't go to the police, but I had to get the money back to avoid problems. First, I decided to ask my mom for advice. I need to tell you something, but then I noticed she wasn't at a ski resort. She was wearing a diving suit. Also, I couldn't see Dad anywhere. What were you saying, dear? The connection isn't that great. She was right. Asking her for help was impossible like that. One thing became clear to me. My parents went on vacation separately. I couldn't believe it. I always thought of them as the perfect couple, but now I had bigger issues. I had to get the money back, but I couldn't do it without help. Joe, hi. I'm in big trouble. I told him about the imposter who turned out to be a criminal and that we weren't actually going out. I just wanted to teach you a lesson and make you jealous, but now I need to get that money back. I'm afraid those thieves will escape. Don't worry, we'll catch them. Meet me downstairs. When I came down, he was already waiting for me on his e-scooter. I got behind him and we took off. Let's go to the train station. They must be there. And what are we gonna do when we find them? I hadn't really thought that far yet. How could we stop that thug and his crazy girlfriend? And then I came up with a brilliant plan. Joe, stop here for a sec. 10 minutes later, we were at the train station. Finding those two wasn't hard. They were handing over the bags of money to some guy in a hood. No, I couldn't let them leave. I took the bow I got at the archery club and... Oh wow, I was a frickin' Robin Hood. Can you believe it? The guy in the hood turned around, stunned, and I recognized the bar owner. What the heck is going on here? Well, Vivian, let me introduce myself again. I am your friend, Nick. Harley is my girlfriend, and I came here to visit her. The bar owner's my uncle. As you've probably realized already, we aren't thieves. Uncle just played along with us. What did you do it all for? Nick told me that he and Harley were studying psychology. When I told him about my life, Nick realized that I had a problem. I'd never been alone. I was constantly looking for relationships and seeking validation from boys. That's why I never had time for myself or my hobbies. I could have just told you what to do, but I had a better idea. I had to put you in an unusual circumstance so you'd realize how cool you actually are. And now that you know you're talented, I mean, think about it. Singing, acting, archery, what can't you do even without a boyfriend? Although, I didn't think you'd shoot me with an arrow. I thought you'd just stop me. But that was awesome. I stood there, shocked, speechless. Nick asked if he could write a thesis based on my case. Are you kidding me? Of course not. Isn't it enough that you made me look like a naive fool? I just wanted to help, I'm sorry. He gave Mom's jewelry back and left with Harley and her uncle. Joe and I were left alone. It was time for us to talk. I didn't like seeing you with Nick, but I wasn't jealous. You're very important to me, Vivian, but I only see you as a friend. Okie dokie, got it. We decided to stay friends. Soon, my parents came back home. Needless to say, I wasn't happy when I greeted them. Mom, Dad, be honest, are you fighting? Why on earth would you think that? I know you weren't on vacation together. Well, yes, I went skiing and your mom went diving. So what? Love is great, but everyone should have hobbies on their own. That's what makes our love so enduring, Vivian. My parents' words inspired me. I decided to focus on myself and developing my talents and stop looking for approval from boys. I was my own person. At that moment, I realized I was grateful to Nick for the lesson he taught me after all. I called my friend and told him he could write a thesis about my case. That's it, guys. This was a love story, the love that I have for myself. It's immensely important. Do you agree? Tell me what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to like my story.